Jana and Sharina, welcome to New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And you've both dedicated years-long work to addressing missing and murdered Indigenous relatives issues, including advocacy and research. Sharina, I want to start with you. You've done recent work working with UNM, CNM, and SIPI. Tell me why that's important.
So this work for me goes back many years when I went to Haskell, which is an all-Native university, Native American university. And so I started understanding that this was a common problem, and I started looking more into it. So when I did my master's, I started reading more books about it. But when I moved here, I wanted to focus on college students because I feel that we would reach a more span of people if we are educating our college students, especially our Native women and boys, so that when they go back to their reservations, when they go back to their homes, and they can talk about it at the table and bring it up in their community. We felt it was really important that we can reach out to the college students and they can educate their younger ones and educate their older ones.
And Jana, you've done a lot of work on this issue as well, including serving on different task forces. How does the crime of human trafficking fit in?
So human trafficking is prevalent here in the city of Albuquerque, and we are noticing within the past decade how within metropolis cities, a lot of our Native people are transient communities where they are able to live in their communities but also travel to the city for work, groceries, or if they get paid monthly, they want to have get their food and so forth. So that has allowed a lot of our Native communities to come to the metropolis city. So with that issue, we're seeing here in the city of Albuquerque, a lot of the homeless population, maybe they are not able to afford their rent, they're not getting a proper job, income revenue that's sustaining their families. They find themselves homeless on the streets as well. And so we have different areas here in the city where we're identifying a huge populations of unsheltered relatives. And unfortunately, one route in particular is Central, where we're identifying certain bus stops where a lot of the homeless people can be picked up. Drug is also a contributing factor, as well as substance abuse. Unfortunately, when you see vulnerable populations that are unsheltered on the streets, a lot of these traffickers and individuals who don't have good intentions will see a person who's in a very vulnerable state and take advantage of that.
And have you seen any changes when it comes to outreach, because you've done outreach yourself as well,
yes,
or even just combating it?
Mm-hmm. So I have seen a lot of changes with street outreach. It's very common now that a lot of our community grassroots organizations, community members as well, such as Sharina, is also recognizing the importance of really extending a helping hand to a lot of our unsheltered relatives and making sure that if they are needing some form of housing assistance, the city of Albuquerque is really good at providing some solutions to that. In addition, a food kitchen with First Nations Community House Source, a lot of integrative wraparound services, either behavioral health or medical services. Those are some of the main services that are presented to unsheltered relatives on the streets so that they can be connected and hopefully begin their healing journey to stepping away from being vulnerable and unsheltered on the streets. So street outreach is a very important component when it comes to meeting where our relatives that are most vulnerable on the streets and really link them to important services.
And your work as well, talking to college students about human trafficking and holding events. There was a recent event that you helped organize. Share a little bit about that, and that was at SIPI.
Yeah, so a few years ago, 2016 actually, so quite a few years ago, there was an earring exhibit that was going around, and it had been started, and so the earrings represent, when you're missing one earring, it kind of is like an analogy for you missing a relative because they're just not complete. So we created an exhibit for that to represent and display, and then around that we have conversations about we bring in professionals, so I wouldn't consider myself a professional, but we in that line of work, even though I do have experience, but we bring in people who are in the thick of it, whether they are like Anita Lucchese, who is the director for the Sovereign Bodies Institute, and her sole job is just to really help Native communities nationally, and I think even internationally they've helped. And so we kind of highlight them and we let them speak and we have dialogue and we open it up for our college students, but we not only open it up for them, but their families, the community as well. And we can really like educate on that level, but then also now we're going to start doing more events where it's more action. And so we would like to do, we are doing in April next semester, or I guess or in the spring, we are going to do self-defense classes and like different techniques. I also educate on like, I'll do streams of TikToks of like these women who have like been experiencing these and they talk about it, or they say this is a technique they'll use, you know, just to educate that these are real things that are happening. Or I almost got abducted, and it shows like faces or girls that are, you know, they can see themselves in their in those videos, and that they can try to prevent that, whether it's like if somebody's following you around Target, or if somebody is, you know, is tying something to your car door, or putting, what is that, the shaving cream on your windows, so then when you go like this, you can't see, and then, you know, our money, it's, you know, there's so many different techniques, and so our different strategies, so that we try to educate, and then they can further that education outwards. So we're trying to like reach a wide span of people. Yeah.
And why are these efforts important at the grassroots? And you're bringing in, like you said, experts, but from the grassroots level and also younger voices. Why is it important that raising awareness among these younger generations and having also younger generations be involved in addressing the issues?
Yeah, so unfortunately, there is not a lot of, now there's starting to become like the task force, but unfortunately that has been, I guess, that has ended. But it really comes from the community. It really comes from us saying there's a need for this and we can't depend on the state to take action. So we need to do what we can, what our capacity is to really like educate and do preventative work. Because unfortunately we're not always protected by the state or by, you know, America in a way. So I think it's really important that the grassroots movement is key to bringing awareness to protection, to helping victims, to helping families of victims. And it really takes a community to really help and educate, prevent, and take it to Congress, take it to whatever we need to, protest, you know, bring awareness of what is really happening and why are we being targeted as a people, as a race. Talk about what is happening really on reservations, off reservations, in the city. How is this becoming 1 in 3 women? But really, in reality, it's like almost every woman I've ever met, Native woman, has had an experience of sexual violence, domestic violence, almost being kidnapped, or just a plethora of things and ways that we have been targeted as a people. Yeah.
And Jana, we mentioned the task force. The state task force has been dissolved. You've worked on, like we mentioned earlier, a number of federal level and the state task force as well. What would you like to see happen from the state now?
So we were able to develop a state response plan, and so which was released in 2022. And so I'm recognizing that a lot of other agencies and states do look to the state of New Mexico when it comes to how do we lead when it comes to MMIP relatives task force in that work. And so other states, they do want to mirror the same objectives and goals that we've been able to kind of establish with the task force. And I believe that some of the objectives that were and goals that were mentioned in that state response, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. For example, I was sitting on the systems subcommittee, and that is where we were able to pretty much really look into state agencies and how are they responding when it comes to investigating and prevention measures, and then the cases that come before them, that process, and who is accountable to making sure that these cases are investigated within missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. So that was a very important component. We had other subcommittees such as the data and the community impact subcommittees, and so a lot of work was generated from those subcommittees, and which really in essence was the bulk of the work from the state response plan. So I hope that we can move forward and really assess the need of the task force. I know there's a lot of effort from community members that want to continue the task force, and really calling upon the Indian Affairs Department to see how we can move forward with the task force and requiring some accountability as well with some of these objectives and goals that we had in the state response plan.
Well, there's definitely a lot of work going on various levels on this issue, and I want to thank you both for coming in and talking a little bit today, and we're definitely going to be following this. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.